the number one team is Wall High School, which is down in our conference, Shore Conference. Went undefeated, defeated Donovan Catholic in our what we have pods and stuff like that this year because there's no playoffs. So that was kind of the Shore Conference championship pod. And the controversy is, they're number one. And number two was Holy Spirit, which is down in South Jersey towards Atlantic City, who won
private school,
who won that West Jersey pod, and then which was I think the two. Who did they beat? I forgot who they beat in their West Jersey pod, but they defeated the other top team I think in their way they grouped it the same way that we did in the Shore, did the same kind of thing.
And they're group 2, I believe, correct?
I think they're group 2, yeah. So, because traditionally they would play like St. Joe's Hamilton, I think was their team that they normally would battle out in their championship section. And then you got...
They are, let's see, non-public group 2, correct. And they... let's see. Ooh, they didn't play many games at all, Coach. They were, Holy Cross. Oh, man. I think they only had, West Jersey Football League, though. So we've seen a lot. We've come across a lot of with the year that has been, we've definitely seen a lot of teams travel. That's for sure. And I think us obviously being from North Jersey, and coming down here and hearing about the Shore Conference itself, to have in only our second year have a Shore Conference team ranked as the number one team in the state, kind of adds some kudos to just where we're coaching and the type of football that we're coaching. However, you're always going to have your North Jersey, South Jersey controversy. And this year is, just follows suit along with that. As far as that's concerned. So, I'm sure a bunch of teams up north from that big north are going to be a little upset because, they do play each other and basically beat the hell out of each other the entire year.
Right.
Literally. I mean,
and those are the 3 and 4, right? So 3 was Delbarton,
which is not usually in there either.
Right. They were undefeated. And then 4 was
Bergen
Catholic, right? So who beat St. Peter's Prep. Delbarton was supposed to play Bergen Catholic, didn't end up playing them because of that was the on the field COVID-19 cancellation.
That was the we just warmed up for pregame and coach is about to give us our run through the wall speech and instead we're packing up and going home.
Yep. So that I thought was
I thought that was the most bizarre thing we were going to see until I read that Ocean City was playing this weekend and they went in for halftime and that was the end of that game.
Right.
So,
and they were playing one of the other powerhouses in South Jersey,
I
think it's Williamstown. Yeah.
Williamstown, something I think along that.
Yep.
Along those lines. Look, I thought, us, go in our situation where we went basically a week and a half without practice and then dialed it up on a Saturday after a walkthrough was going to be one of those moments. But, 2020 has only showed us that, damn. Warming up for a game, being there, not playing it, and then to have another team play a half and then not finish the game. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's just there's a lot of stuff that went on this year, but you might as well just throw this other wrinkle into it with a public school team going down as the number one team at the end of the year, because why not? Everything else during this year has been controversial or something unprecedented. And I'm not saying this isn't unprecedented because I believe the last time it was done was 2015 when another Shore Conference team in Middletown South finished the year as the number one. But we've discussed it time and time again. At the end of the day, these are just rankings, right? It's a matter of, it's a record. It's basically the newspaper guys, the media guys that put together this top 25 and they have their criteria. So it's a pseudo, it's basically a bragging right type of thing. Hey, we're going to have a team in the state. We look at it too. Like we said, there's teams that aren't even in the top 25 that win state championships, or actually go home with titles in years where you have years that have titles. This year doesn't have that. So I guess it just, there's more hanging on the number one top 25 ranking. But man, I'll tell you, there was some active people on Twitter this weekend, whether it be anybody from the north that was, talking about who's playing who and who beat who. And if you were to play us, you'd lose by whatever. And look,
So what do you like? I love that you brought it up. You like how you bring things up just like on the slide, but I thought it was interesting when I could read the NJ.com article before it went behind the subscription paywall, which is as frustrating as it gets. I read it before, and then I guess must have been a time clock.
Only 5 free articles, Coach.
Yeah. So what I remember from my memory was they had like a rationale there, and actually I read all the different teams that were in the rankings, but the one thing I thought, so I think Bergen Catholic wanted to be number 1, but obviously they ended up 4. Delbarton definitely had an argument, like we talked about. They ended up 3. Holy Spirit ended up 2, and now I don't know that much about Holy Spirit, so
me neither. Probably the team I know the least about, just as far as just where they are. Look, I know for some way, shape, or form, I've heard their names before, whether it be late 90s, early 2000s. For some reason, I always remember them kind of playing Delbarton, maybe in a some way type of thing. Or something of that nature, but once it just kind of follows suit that even your number 2 team is a private school, whether it be not one of those, when we think of the private schools, you obviously, you think of the Big North, you think of your Boscos, you think of your Bergens, you think of your Joes. Paramus Catholic was in there for a little while. You think of your DePaul, you're thinking about all these teams that are, in that Big North Conference that, like we said, just bash each other's heads in week to week. And then you've got, Group 3 Wall from Shore Conference.
I'll fire up a couple of things that have come through on my chat. Can you see the chat that I have too, or no?
Can I see it? I don't think so. Okay. No. Yeah. Can I see it? Yeah,
first of all,
Guy. Oh, hello, Coach Bertola. How can I? In the house.
Before we get to Coach Bertola, which I'm definitely going to get to because he's great. First of all, he should be like.
He's going to be on. He should be. Yeah, absolutely.
He should be a guest. There's no doubt about it. But before we get go to that.
Oh yeah, we can't even touch that.
Who gave us a quick shout out over there? That's me. Okay. Oh, here we go. Coach Davis,
Davis, man, that's a hell of a career, brother.
Yeah.
Coach Davis, Barnegat High School, the only head coach in program history, takes a step down after this year. Look, man, no, listen. If I didn't know what else to do, I'd probably step down after this year too, with everything that went on. So, but Coach Davis, great career. Always was extremely receptive when we came down here. Has always been just a guy who has basically opened his doors, and anything I ever needed, we ever needed, has reached out to us. He's been definitely a liaison as far as, signing off on these 2 North Jersey guys coming down to the shore. But Coach calling it a career after, or at least, career with Barnegat High School. Leaves that program obviously in a better state than it was since when he started. I believe it was 18 years ago, but I think it was 2000, maybe 2004. 2006, I think the high school opened. I don't know. Somebody's going to have to fact check me.
He's the coach there. So, I mean, what he's done there.
He's been the only head coach. Absolutely.
Yeah. Although I think it's pretty cool. He started the program from scratch. I think that's really cool. And
that's phenomenal.
Built it up in his image. So anyone who takes over, I'm assuming maybe one of his assistants, but whoever takes over that program going forward, he built it in his image. And so you're kind of building that legacy, which is cool. Which is really cool. So, I mean, congrats to him. And and I'm sure we'll see him again sometime in the future somewhere.
I'm sure. Listen. For a guy like that to just, he'll pop up. He's got to pop up somewhere. And if anybody needs somebody on their staff or whatever, even a behind the scenes guy to just show up on game day, that's the guy. That's for sure. Somebody give him a call.
So GB had a great post. Two things he posted, right? So he coaches at Coach Bertola coaches at over at DePaul. And he made light of it, but he's like, number one TV in public school is horse blank, and the strength of schedule of Max Preps. Well, I think Wall was ranked 11. Obviously, now we're from North Jersey, and people who haven't coached in both areas may not know the different things. So I'll give you kind of my impressions of. And we played Hackensack, although it wasn't two powerhouses this year, but
Hackensack, man. I don't care what anybody wants to say. Still,
we had a ton of talent out there, and in a different situation where all of us had regular time, I think we would have had a fantastic season over at Red Bank.
Not for our liking, though.
Yeah, exactly. And our guys did a great job, and Hackensack played a really tough schedule, public. But But being from North Jersey, obviously that single conference in North Jersey is the best conference in New Jersey, which is the ones with the parochials. And here's my interesting take on it too. So the parochials obviously have dominated. I don't know. I think the only other time that they were number one was 2015, maybe. And I'm talking about recent years when Middletown South was number one. I think that was pretty controversial at the time.
I'm sure it was.
And Mid-South and is obviously always a powerhouse public school program.
Right.
Wall is a phenomenal team, and I thought beating Donovan, who I thought was phenomenal for down here, was really good. So I'll give you my input. First of all, I think Wall deserved to get number one in this year from the situation of what went down. Normally, they probably, if they went all the way through, and let's say they ran the table and won the Group 3 state championship, okay, and beat us in the finals. No, or we got to the finals and beat that. No, so if Wall got all the way to the championship, let's choose hypothetical, and use the hypothetical, and they got all the way to the championship this year, and won it, and the parochials got to the championship and won it, they would have probably never had a chance to be number one, because the parochials, the big school parochial, unless somehow it was, didn't work out that way this year, like DePaul maybe went undefeated, and they didn't end up, let's say they played in their Group 3 version, and they could have won the championship without playing one of the big parochials. But in normal years, the big parochials have been number one off of that, so that Wall wouldn't have had a chance in this case. In most cases, almost no public school would have had a chance in a normal situation, because the parochial Group 4, I believe it is, would have went through their playoff, won. That would have been the de facto best team, as it's been every single year, other than if there's something crazy where, like, I don't know, let's see a team that didn't have that good a record made a run and won it all, okay? Right. And 2000, I don't know what 2015 was like, but maybe that was something similar. And I know Mid-South went undefeated when they got it. This year, with the COVID-19 restriction rules and everything like that, travel and all those kind of things made some things difficult. I know our own situation. Things were difficult. We were shut down 3 times, and it was tough to be able to just operate the season at times. And I think, like, our kids did a fantastic job, and most of the kids around the state did a fantastic job of doing everything. So I thought in this year, with Wall having a kind of, what they call the unofficial short conference championship, which I think is a great idea going forward, because I like to one day
I do like it
myself. I like the idea of it.
I do like that.
And the whole real idea comes from the NJIC up north, how they do that. I think this year Becton, shout out
Group
to my
one, baby. Group 1 ball.
I think Becton won that one there, and
yeah.
that's pretty cool. So,
and that's like that's like your Hasbrook Heights of the world, right? Your Pompton Lakes is your Woodridge, right? Those small Group 1 Bergen County teams that what do? They play like 6 games and then they reseed and then they play it, the last 2 games of the year for basically your conference title. Which is awesome. I'm looking at some of these guys commenting in our chat and whatnot. And it's not because you got my boy Spencer Fox coaches at Joe's. He played for me at Bosco. So you got a Joe's guy in here and a DePaul guy in here already going at it. You know what I mean? Guy, go figure. Look, I know you're eating, look at Guy is already at the Guy. I saw you're speaking of Cedar Grove, throwing Cedar Grove in there. I saw a coach who's been at St. Peter's stepped away finally after 5 years, I think. What's his why am I forgetting his name, Dave? Sadlock. Yes. So at 5 years at Prep, I guess Coach Hansen decided to hang it up, and I guess Coach Sadlock decided to hang it up too. But another one of those Jersey guys that's never going to go away from the game. Hopefully he's around. Did you side note, by the way, did you see the picture posted on Twitter of the godfathers of North Jersey football?
Oh, yeah, I saw it. Yeah, of course.
How is that how many wins between that picture alone? So
how does 3 of them get to be coaching at Bergen Catholic?
Talk about its staff.
Right,
so to reference it, so those of you guys that didn't see it, the picture was of it was taken and it was of Greg Toll, obviously lifelong guy. Bosco built it, made it. Big time head coach. Coach Tony Karsich from St. Joe's of Montvale built that program and stepped away a few years ago.
And then it was Catholic, if you didn't know that.
I didn't know that. That's why it was like craziness when I saw it. Coach Hansen, obviously, Rich Hansen, the head coach at St. Peter's Prep for the past God knows how many years. And then what's his friggin' I'm losing it. Bergen Catholic. What's his name?
Stengel? Fred Stengel?
Stengel. Coach Stengel at Bergen
Catholic. Know that I'm older than you.
What do you mean? Yeah, okay. Well, listen, like I said, obviously I'm biased because I was fortunate enough to coach with Coach Toll at Bosco for a year, and that's my claim to fame as far as my experience in the Big North itself, and then with Coach Toll. But to see those 4 guys, 3 of them wearing red, coaching at Bergen, Coach Vito up there, man. I mean, if that's not a staff, I don't, wow. But to see those 4 guys, all now non-head coaches, so you can really see this pendulum start to swing. And I'm getting sidetracked here, but we're talking about, those Big North coaches that everybody thinks about. There's all new guys in charge now, man.
Well, that's also interesting, but
I think the longest tenured.
So I gave you my final circling back, because I think we talked about this earlier. Circling back, I'll put it like this: if there was a game between Wall and in fairness, I don't know exactly what Holy Spirit has, so I don't know enough about it. But let's say Wall and Delbarton or Wall and Bergen Catholic. Anything can happen in any game, but I think it would be very difficult to me, just because obviously the parochials are getting kids from everywhere. Wall's literally playing with, I'm assuming they are, with all Wall kids, and so that's a totally different situation. So I would say like 9 out of 10 times probably the parochials going to win that. If there was a head-to-head battle, anything can happen in one single game. Everybody understands that. But I do like the fact in our state, where definitely the parochial schools dominate, that in a unique year like this, that Wall came out number 1. To me, it wasn't really about like who might in this ranking. I'm guessing how they're ranking, and why I kind of like it is that it wasn't so much about the team that if they played each other, because like you said, Max Preps has Bergen Catholic. I think it's number 1. I think.
Yeah, I'm pretty.
But that what?
Yeah, it's not so much a head-to-head battle. It's more.
And what Wall was able to accomplish, even beating Donovan, right? Who is a pro and who has done a great job of getting a lot of good players in. I mean, they have some.
And they ended up last year. If you want to reference that, Donovan last year probably had their best year in school history and ended up losing to DePaul in the playoffs, who would eventually go on to beat Mater Dei in the finals for that Group 3 parochial. So now you see Wall taking, this year, Wall goes and beats Donovan in that pseudo championship game. So no, can you measure it that way? Do you match it up that way? But like you said, I think so my take on the whole thing is that, look, you got a public school who's at the ranking, they're number 1. And like I said, this is why I reference this is rankings are rankings for a reason. There's not a look, it's not a matter of,
it's just an opinion, and it's
right. There's a criteria set. This is what, did they check all these boxes? Yep. Number 1. Okay, good. Now is anybody who ranked Wall number 1 saying that if Wall went out and played Bergen 9 out of 10 times, who's going to win the game? Or is it any of that stuff? And like I referenced to you this morning, a few years ago, when you had University of Central Florida undefeated saying we're the national champions, and then you have Alabama, who actually was the national champions. It's two different worlds. You know what I'm saying? So
agreed.
And like I said, at the end of the day, it's a ranking, it's a number. It is what it is. During this year, absolutely, where there's no championships, there's no nothing, there's no that. That number 1 ranking is going to, in my eyes, bring home a little bit more weight than it would in another year where you could go and Wall could win the Group 3 state championship. Now they actually have hardware. This is their hardware for that year.
Absolutely. I think it was kind of a cool thing, and most years it's not even basically an option.